Hey everyone, welcome to Adobe Illustrator Classroom in a Book 2018 version. We're going to do the lesson 1 today. Okay, first thing I need you to do is to go to your Z links and you're going to click on Adobe Illustrator. We have two options here. I want you guys to click on the one that says 2018 and that will bring up your program. By the way, at any point in time, if you want to go ahead and pause this while you do something, you can pause, work on it, then unpause me as you keep going. As you may or may not know, Illustrator works with something, a graphic called a vector. Now, in the past, if you've worked with Adobe Photoshop, then you know that Photoshop works with graphics called a raster, and raster is pixel-based, so as you zoom in, everything looks really pixelated. When you work with Illustrator, the cool thing is that it works with a vector-based graphic, which means as you zoom in, no matter how big you make it, you can zoom all the way in the size of a billboard, everything stays nice and crisp and clean. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as you open Illustrator, it's going to give you several options like this. You can do Create New or you can Open. We're going to open some files, but I want to show you what happens if you click Create New. So if we were to create new inside Illustrator, you see that there's these options up here at the top. So let's say we clicked mobile. The nice thing is it gives you all these presets of designs of phones. So I clicked on the mobile one and you can see all the presets, like there's a Surface Pro 4, there's an Android. So if you were to click on that, it would give you the preset of settings that would be good for designing for that specific type of mobile phone, or I can't think of the word for it at the moment, sorry. So a specific type of mobile phone or type of device. So if I clicked up web, again, it's giving you presets for things for the internet. If I clicked on print, you can see up here, it gives you presets. Now, you'll notice that it says it in points, but on the right-hand side, it gives you the ability to name it whatever you want, and you can change from points to inches, and then you can change your sizes here. But we're not going to create a new one today. We're going to go ahead and open. So what I want you to do is to click Open. Now for you guys, I saved this on the V drive. I'm at home, so I'm not able to access the V drive. You can see the little red X, it won't let me. But for you guys, click on the V drive, and then you're going to click on the ME2 folder, and from there, you're going to find your class, whether it's graphic design or if it's the principles of art, media, and communication. And then you should see a file with Illustrator lessons. And then I'll show you what it looks like from there. So for me, I have to go a different route to find mine. Okay. You're going to open up a folder called Lesson 1. It should be the only folder available. And inside there are two files, Lesson 1 Start 1 and Lesson 1 Start 2. You can open both of these. If you hold down the Shift key while you click, it allows you to click both of them and then hit Open. If you need help, let me know and I'll come around and help. All right, guys, so you should have two files that look like this. The Start 1 shows you the end result of what that's going to look like. The Start 2 kind of gives you both the front and the back view. So we're going to look at both of these as we work. All right. All right, as you're looking at Photoshop, let's go ahead and just kind of look at what is in this application. All right, so what you're looking at over here is your toolbar. So over here you have all the different tools that you're going to end up using. On the right-hand side is something called layers, which is very important. Layers is the different levels that your artwork's placed at. You can click on properties. It'll show you various things. Libraries are kind of what it sounds like. Libraries hold different brushes or swatches or things that you can use. I'll show you that more later. You guys don't really need to get into that right now. Illustrator's different in the way that it works with artboards. So this space right back here is just the background. And then if you see, like if I click on I'm gonna select all this. You guys don't need to know how to do that right at this moment, and I move it over. You can see that this little piece of paper, pretend like you're in an art class, and this is your piece of paper. This is your artboard, and your artboard is everything you're gonna draw. You then place it on top of this artboard. So everything works with an artboard, not necessarily a document, and you can have more than one artboard. And again, we'll get into that later. You don't have to really know anything about that right now. You can drag things around, like try this as I'm doing it. You can drag your tools if they get on your nerves. You can take part of a tool like this. If you click and hold, you can see that there's sub tools underneath of it that you'll end up using. So if you see that little arrow, you can right click and see the tools, or if you press and hold, you can also see the tools. So far, if you've used Photoshop before, it's not that much different than Photoshop in that regards. All right, I just typed some things. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. All right, so as we're going to go through this, I'm going to show you guys some things that you need to know. Some stuff, you know, you'll pick up as you go along, so don't worry too much. All right, this is your selection tool right here. The selection tool allows you to move anything around. So let's say I clicked on this shape right here. If I have the selection tool, I can select anything that's grouped together like that and move it around. I can also move it back. Some keys that you need to know, Control Z will undo what you just did. So if you hit Control plus Z, it undoes it. This one right here is called your direct select tool. So let's say I clicked on, like, let me see something that's grouped together. Let's say I clicked on maybe one of these. The direct select tool, like the selection tool, lets you select anything that's grouped together. So if I moved, I'll move this over the way so you can see it. I'm going to move it down here. Do the same thing with me. So take your selection tool, go ahead and move it over. I'm going to group these two together so that they move together. So I took my selection tool and I'm going to draw a selection over both of them. It selects them, and I'm going to go to Object, Group. Okay, so now I have these two grouped together. All right, your direct select tool allows you to select individual points or anchor points. I'm going to zoom in to see closer. If you select your zoom tool, you can click it over top of it and it'll allow you to zoom in closer, or the shortcut is Control plus and you can zoom in closer. So the direct select tool allows you to select these individual anchor points. And if I was to select one of these anchor points like this, I could then change it or alter it, such as that. Okay, I'm going to undo it by hitting Control Z. And in Illustrator, Control C allows you to go back as far back as you want. So you just hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Unlike Photoshop, for anybody that's used to Photoshop, it does not have a history panel, so you can't click on the history panel. So you just have to hit Control Z, or you can go to Edit, Undo, Move, and you can see the shortcut right there. So anytime you click on these up high, you'll see that it gives you the shortcuts next to it for any of these items. Okay, so I'm going to actually zoom out, and to zoom out, it's Control plus minus. Okay, and I've zoomed out enough to see it. I'm going to switch to my select tool, and I'm actually going to pick these items back up and move them over. And then I'm going to Object, Ungroup, because it was ungrouped to begin with. And I just grouped it together to show you guys. So make sure you're following along with me, that you're trying some of these. Feel free to pause if you need to pause. I just want you to kind of get used to how a lot of this works. Okay, next thing I want to show you is just how to use some of the property panels that might pop up. All right, so what I want you to do is go ahead to your select tool, and you've got that selected here, and I want you to go ahead and go to the Properties panel, which is right here. And then I want you to select, just click on the black, or I'm sorry, not black, the blue background in the background here. Try saying that 3 times fast. Blue background, that's hard. All right, and as you see, if you select the blue background, it's going to show it to you over here. And it shows you whatever you click on. It shows you what any appearances that have added, any appearances kind of like a filter or different effects that's been put on something. If I selected the M again from what we were working on, you see that it changes. So no matter what you click on, it shows you in the property what the height and the width are, what the fill or the stroke are. It's just kind of a quick area to do that with. Okay, up here, you can move these panels around. So if I clicked on the properties and I dragged it over here, it moves it. And I can take the properties and drag it back, and it's called docking it. And you basically just park it back in its parking space. At any point in time, if I wanted to get rid of something that was bothering me, I could go, like let's say I didn't want the properties panel. I could go up to the X right here, close it out, and it's gone. It's no longer in my workspace. Anytime you want to see something again, go to Window, and then you're going to find, if you scroll down, I can find the properties panel right here. And there it's open again. So anything at all that you want to see as we go through, there's all kinds of panels. There's the align panel, the color panel. There's just so many here. So if you're looking for anything ever, this is where you want to look. It's under window. Think of window like you're looking outside or you're looking into something and you want to see something, you look through the window. So you go to the window and you can find it and it'll appear over here. All right, so that shows you kind of how to get things open and get them out of your way. Let's talk about layers for a second. All right, so layers, if I were to open this in Illustrator, layers can get kind of complicated. Anytime you draw something, it will add a new layer. So let's say, and I'm going to zoom in on this, so I'm going to do Control and plus to zoom in, or you could also use the zoom tool, but I like to just use this. I'm going to do Control plus to zoom in, and let's say I wanted to know what layer this cloud is on. I could click it, and then if I go to this magnifying glass right here, it takes me exactly to which section or path that's on. So if I click, this is called the visibility icon, very similar in Photoshop. If I click that on and off, you can see that tells me, okay, there it is, and it's gone again. So it will take you over here and allow you to see it. So if I click the U and Maui and I want to figure out where that is, I click the magnifying glass, it takes me right to it. And that way if I wanted to get rid of this or I wanted to change it, I could find it very quickly. Okay, so if I didn't want this anymore, go ahead and click on this and drag it into the trash can down here at the bottom, and it all of a sudden deletes it. Let's say I changed my mind, I didn't want that to happen. You can hit Control plus Z again, and it brings it right back again. Okay, so these are collapsible. If you see an arrow like this, it means you can collapse it and you'll see more that comes on. And then if all this gets on your nerves, just click these arrows to clean it up a little bit and you don't have to see them anymore. Okay. All right, I know this might feel a little overwhelming to some of you as you're looking at this. Don't worry, you'll get the hang of it. I just want you to play around with this document today a little bit just to kind of see what it's like. All right, down here on the bottom, it lists your artboards. So we only have one artboard in here, but let's say we wanted to add an artboard. We could go up to, let's open our artboard window. We're gonna go to Window, sorry, our artboard panel, and we're gonna click on Artboards. And so here, over here, we have the option of seeing the artboard. I'm gonna double click this and I'm gonna name it Maui. Okay, so if you double click on the side, it allows you to change the name. And then I'm going to go ahead and I want a new artboard. So right here, if I hover, it'll tell you new artboard. I'm going to click it and it automatically duplicates the size of the artboard that you already had. So let's say I now have this new artboard and I want to go ahead and play around with some things. Over here are your shapes. So let's say we choose the rectangular shape. I'm going to drag and hold it. And if you want a color, you can click on the fill. If you double click it, it brings up your fill options. Let's just pick a nice new blue and click OK. And it's filled it blue. If we, right here, you see this slash through here means that there's no stroke. If I click on the stroke, and if I want the same color, it kind of gives you that preset right there. Or if I want a different color, I can go over and click something completely different, like let's say the red. I now have a red stroke around this. If you want your stroke to be thicker or you want your stroke to be a different size, there's options that you can do for that. I'm going to click out of the color panel. And what I want to do is, normally that appears up here and I don't see it right now, so I'm going to hit the F key. F key is for full screen. The more that you hit it, it changes your view. And from here, I'm going to go to Window, and I'm going to go to up high, Workspace, and we are clicked on Essentials, which is good. I'm going to click Reset Essentials. That shifts everything back to where it needs to be. Over here in the Properties panel, now that I'm on this, you can see that it's got fill and stroke, and I can change my stroke up, and it changes the thickness. So as I keep clicking on here, it changes the thickness right there. Okay, and if I wanted to go back to the stroke and decide I didn't want it, I could click the X and it gets rid of that stroke. If I'm on my selection tool, I can then move it around and change it any way that I want. So this is kind of how you add shapes. If you look at this document, I'm going to click back on here. So we've got more than one artboard going on now. You'll see we've got Maui and then number 2, which I didn't even name. If I click back to Maui, then let's go back to our layers. You can see how complicated things can get. So right here, I have one simple, very simple, I'm going to find it in here, one simple rectangle, that's it, on this artboard. But over here, it has so many individual different pieces that make it up. So this looks like a simple, beautiful postcard, but in the end, it's actually made up with a lot of different layers and a lot of different pieces. Whenever you're working within Illustrator, you want to make sure that you save and that you save often. And so all you're going to do is just go File, Save As, and when you're working in here, I want you guys to save inside your student folder, which would be the V drive. I can't show you again because I'm recording at home, but it's the V drive, and then you're going to save inside your student folder, which is inside the ME2. So to go to V drive, click on ME2, find your class, and then find your student folder and save it in there. And so we can just call this Lesson 1 Practice. And when you're done, you're just going to click Save. Okay. All right, so there's not much else that I want to show you now. I just do kind of want to go over a couple things. I want to show you, click OK on that. I want to show you the hand tool. Hand tool allows you to click and drag and move around. We went over the zoom tool a little bit, allows you to zoom in. I like Control Plus, so I just use that. It's whatever you want. So Control Plus allows you to zoom in, Control Minus allows you to zoom out, Control 0 brings you back to normal mode so that you can see everything. You can also go to View. So you can go to View, zoom in, zoom out. You can say Fit All in Window, which allows you to see all of your artboards, or you can say View, Fit Artboard in Window. And whatever artboard you have selected is the one that's going to show up in the window. So we had the Maui selected, and that's the one that's going to show up. Okay. I don't want to overwhelm you guys. I do want to show you 1 or 2 more things, and then that's it. And then we're going to save this for today's lesson and do something different starting tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is just show you up here real quick. If you want to navigate between artboards, you can select down here 1 and 2. So we are on Maui right now. If I selected this, it goes to number 2. A good option is go back to the Lesson 1 Start To if you still have that open. Again, you can go back. They've named it front and back. So there's the front, and then there's the back. So that navigates back and forth between the artboards. Again, think of an artboard like a piece of paper in art class. It's on the desk. It's something you're working on. It's where you create, okay? That allows you to navigate back and forth between the two. You can also hit these arrows right here to go back and forth. Or if you have your artboard panel open, which we don't at the moment, click Artboards. You can see your artboards back and front here, and you can double click to name them, and then you have options inside here. If you click on up top, it allows you to duplicate artboards, delete artboards. Artboard options would be things like the size of your artboard. Let's say you decided that you needed to change the size of it after you drew it. Okay. Sorry, I can get that one to go away. If you needed to change the size of your artboard after you did it, then you would use something like that. that's about it for what I want to show you guys today. Let me know what questions you have. Go ahead and answer the question sheet for today. And then whatever time you have left, play around a little bit within this document. You can't hurt it, so you can delete things, move things, change things. Next lesson, we're going to create a snowman. So I want you to just kind of play around inside Illustrator today and get a feel for it. All right, let me know what questions you have, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.